We continue with our series on Bible leaders. We want to draw lessons that can help us today as leaders from the leaders we read about in history. Our discussion today is on a king called Jehoshaphat. So I'm calling it Leadership King Jehoshaphat Style. King Jehoshaphat ruled from 873 to 848 BC. He was the fourth king of Judah under the divided monarchy. There was Judah and Israel. And he was the son of a good king called Asa. In 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 24, we read, "Then Asa rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of his father David. And Jehoshaphat, his son, succeeded him as king." Then 1 Kings 22:42, Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 25 years. His mother's name was Azubah, daughter of Sheil. Here is Asa, a good king, giving birth to Jehoshaphat, also a good king. Since when you read the stories in the book of Kings and book of Chronicles, we can see many kings that were good kings, but they did not necessarily produce good kings after them. It's important to also give credit to Jehoshaphat for choosing to copy what was good in his father. And we want to draw several lessons of his leadership. I think the first thing is what I've already begun to do. Asa was a worshiper of Jehovah. Jehoshaphat was a worshiper of God. And we learned that if you want to be a good leader, you must be a God worshiper who follows biblical values. Biblical values will never mislead you, because these are values that are given by God for the good of man. God does not require those values. It is we who require them. And it's important to understand that. Let's just look at 2 Chronicles chapter 17, verse 3. "The Lord was with Jehoshaphat because he followed the ways of his father David before him. He did not consort the Baals, but sought the God of his father and followed his commands rather than the practices of Israel. The Lord established the kingdom under his control, and all Judah brought gifts to Jehoshaphat, so that he had great wealth and honor. His heart was devoted to the ways of the Lord. Furthermore, he removed the high places and the Asherah poles from Judah." This is a king. Although his father was a good man, he still went and checked what are the issues in my kingdom. And his first priority was ensuring there is a worship of Jehovah. So he removed any worship of idols out of the kingdom. He destroyed it, so that even people who want to worship idols did not have access to those idols within the land of Judah. It's so good to be able to say the Lord was with Jehoshaphat. God is with everybody, but it must be important that those people are with God. We keep saying, sometimes we pray, say, "God, be on our side." God can never be on your side. How do you know your side is the right one? We should be praying the other way around. God, help me to always be on your side. And Jehoshaphat was on God's side. Therefore, he had a blessed kingdom and he led well. The next thing we learn from him is that a good leader seeks to pass biblical values to his followers. It's not enough that you yourself are leading a biblically good life. What about your people? Are you seeking to influence them? 2 Chronicles 17, verse 7 says, "In the third year of his reign, he sent his officials Ben-Hal, Obadiah, Zechariah, Nathanael, and Micaiah to teach in the towns of Judah. With them were certain Levites, Shemaiah, Nethaniah, Zebadiah, Asahel, Shimoromoth, Johanan, and Adonijah, Tobijah, and Tab-Adonijah, and the priest Elishama and Jehoram. They taught throughout Judah, taking with them the book of the law of the Lord. They went around to all the towns of Judah and taught the people." We can keep blaming people for not having good values. But what is it you have actually done yourself? These days, companies are discovering that values are important for the bottom line. That many companies that end up with corrupt individuals, their bottom line is affected. So they are actually appointing chaplains. You, as a godly leader, what are you doing? Not forcing people to get saved. No. Getting born again is a personal issue. But spending your time influencing them. And you can have a chaplaincy, who is available to help the people. You can have chapel, which is voluntary for people to come in. Now the question is, are you like Jehoshaphat, who sought to teach? He paid people to go throughout the land of Judah to teach the people what God said. Now, once they know, they may still not follow, but at least he has played his role. What are you doing in order to pass on God's message to the people you lead? You know, the other thing we learn about this king is that a good leader is proactive. And this Jehoshaphat was a proactive man. Just look at 2 Chronicles 17, verse 1. Jehoshaphat his son succeeded him as a king and strengthened himself against Israel. He stationed troops in all the fortified cities of Judah and put garrisons in Judah and in the towns of Ephraim that his father Asa had captured. The father had captured cities, but if the enemy came back, he could easily take them. So, militarily, Jehoshaphat fortified his defenses, primarily against the northern kingdom of Israel. Not because he was a dying attack. He prepared for attack. You know, some people think that it's very godly not to be realistic. So they think that if you are godly, you are going to be an optimist. Who is an optimist? A person who assumes everything will go well. That's not being proactive. A proactive person looks at the possibility of things going well, but he also analyzes what can go bad and prepares for both in his kingdom. We are learning. If you are a good leader, you cannot sit there assuming that people can't steal from your company. That's why you have internal audit. Because you know people can backslide, even good people could backslide. Create structures which will discourage people from stealing from the company. Create structures that will discourage outsiders from destroying your company. You are proactive. And it's important as a leader to learn the importance of that. But you see, one of the things you must avoid is getting bad advice. You know, in 2 Chronicles 17, verse 3, the Lord was with Jehoshaphat because he followed the ways of his father David before him. He did not consult with, in the meanwhile, the neighboring land is still worshipping bows and things like that. He did not consult. Who do you consult? It will be an important thing for you to actually be able to say who you consult. Because if you do not avoid bad advice, initially you can say, I was just listening. But the Bible is clear in 1 Corinthians, bad company spoils good morals. There's no way you can paint your moral as a leader if your kitchen cabinet is made up of people who tell you stories. So-and-so, and so-and-so. Hey, they are so bad. And you start acting on the basis of rumors. And you are getting rumors that will destroy your company, that will destroy your kingdom. Hezekiah teaches us that a good leader depends on God's protection, however good is military. I've just said you are proactive, you defend yourself, but always be aware that whatever wisdom you have, the enemy could also have. So, if you truly want to be secure, you need to seek God's security. A good leader depends on God's protection, however good his military. 2 Chronicles chapter 17 verse 10 says, the fear of the Lord fell on all the kingdom of the lands surrounding Judah, so that they did not go to war against Jehoshaphat. Some Philistines brought Jehoshaphat gifts and silver as tribute, and the Arabs brought him flocks, 7,700 rams and 7,700 goats. Jehoshaphat became more and more powerful. He built forts and stored cities in Judah and had large supplies in the towns of Judah. He also kept experienced fighting men in Jerusalem. The enrollment by families was as follows, and we are given a long list. These were the men who served the king beside those he stationed in the fortified cities throughout Judah. What are we learning? The reason why he had peace was not because of his protection and his armament. The reason he had peace was because, we read again verse 10, the fear of the Lord fell on the neighbors. So it started without any fighting, not beating them, with their own friendship. So they come to give him gifts. They come to create peace with them. Why? Not because he is actually forcing them, but because they have known there is a God in Judah who fights their battles. We don't want to come up against that God. And you know, people, if you are consistent in serving the Lord, people will soon know that you are not on your own. You are with God. Having said that, the same Jehoshaphat did not ignore his defenses. He still put armaments and soldiers all over the land. Combination. You trust in God, therefore he gives you wisdom to good defenses. Trusting in God does not mean you don't care. You don't care about your defenses. It is a combination, and Jehoshaphat, you can from the portion we have read, you can see was good at it. Let's look at 2 Chronicles 18. But Jehoshaphat asked, Is there no longer a prophet of the Lord here whom we can inquire of? The king of Israel answered Jehoshaphat, There is still one prophet through whom we can inquire of the Lord. But I hate him because he never prophesies anything good about me, but always bad. He is Micaiah, son of Imlah. The king should not say such a thing, Jehoshaphat said. Now, what was Jehoshaphat doing with Ahab? Ahab was an evil king with Jezebel, the wife, being a witch of some sort. But after making peace with Israel, Jehoshaphat apparently tried to reach out to Ahab, the king of Israel. Ahab was one of the wickedest kings of Israel, and Jehoshaphat could not have been ignorant of the character of this man. Yet he visited him. Then the guy says, Can we go to war? Instead of Jehoshaphat, the wise man, saying, No, we can't be on the same side, he agreed to go to war. In spite of what seems to be an acknowledgement that Micaiah speaks for the Lord. Even the guy there understands that. And Jehoshaphat has seen that. Ahab knows it. Jehoshaphat still went ahead, ignored God's message through Micaiah, and joined an attack in which Ahab was killed and Jehoshaphat narrowly escaped. Do you love those who hate the Lord? It will be important to understand that if you truly are a man of God, your company will be men of God. When you go to deal with a person who is not a godly man, he will know your stand. He will not ask you to go with him because you will preach with him. But you know, some Christians will be very Christian, not among Christians. When we are dealing with relatives who are not Christians, they keep quiet about their Christianity. Then they'll be asked, can we go out? Let's have one for the road. They don't know how to say no, because they never came out openly to tell the other person that they don't drink, that they trust in God. So important to understand, this same good guy called Hezekiah ended up in trouble, and he almost died because of not understanding the enemy of your enemy is your enemy. If God is your friend, any enemy of God cannot be your friend. That does not mean you cannot have peace with him, but it means you need to be very careful, because you are there to try to change him. You are not there to do things together with somebody who is the enemy of God. But we learn a few more things from this king Hezekiah. Jehoshaphat. You know, in 2 Chronicles 19, verse 4, we read, he gave, verse 9, he gave them these orders. You must serve faithfully and wholeheartedly in the fear of the Lord. In every case that comes before you from your people who live in the cities, whether bloodshed or other concerns of the law, commands, decrees, or regulations, you are to warn them not to sin against the Lord. Otherwise, his wrath will come on you and your people. Do this, and you will not sin. Jehoshaphat is continuing to make reforms. And how does he do it? He wants to structure the land of Israel so that not all cases will come with him. In this, he is actually copying Moses earlier, following the science of delegation. So he creates structures, but he gives the values that these judges are to follow wherever they are. Let me ask you the question. Do you have an authorities manual in your organization? What's an authorities manual? A manual that says the CEO should not be dealing with every matter. Any matter who is of this level and this level should be dealt with by the management. Anything below a certain level should not even reach management. The supervisor should be handling a structure that allows you to handle and concentrate on important issues. That way you can expand your kingdom. That way you can move. But if you try to be in charge of everything, three problems. Number one, you could easily get burnout yourself. Number two, you will not do a good job because you have forgotten your things, what is important to the CEO, because you are doing things. Number three, you are going to mess up with people. They will be unhappy because they will be waiting on you and they are not progressing in the activity they have. Jehoshaphat teaches us that it's important to create structures that run the system and handle only appeals that come to your level. A good leader, therefore, we learn, is able to create structures. But more important, he has the division of labor. Don't just create structures. There must be proper job description so that people don't start stepping on each other. In 2 Chronicles 19, verse 11, we read, Amariah the chief priest will be over you in any matter concerning the Lord. And Zebadiah, these people who have been given leadership, they are told when it comes to a spiritual matter, report to Amariah. And Zebadiah, son of Ishmael, the leader of the tribe of Judah, will be over you in any matter concerning the king. That's administrative. And the Levites will serve as officials before you. Act with courage, and may the Lord be with those who do well. Yes, a good leader does not just say, go and work. He has clear division of labor with a clear job description so that people are not held accountable for everything. They are held accountable for the little you have allocated to them. And that allows the organization. No wonder Hezekiah had a peaceful kingdom, because he not only created structures, he was clear on who was to do what. And a good leader avoids acting out of desperation. Even when he is cornered, he needs to be very careful about acting out of desperation. In 2 Chronicles chapter 20, verse 22, we read, as they began to sing and praise the Lord, the Lord set ambushes against the men of Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir, who were invading Judah, and they were defeated. The Ammonites and Moabites rose up against the man from Mount Seir to destroy and annihilate them. After they finished slaughtering the men from Seir, they helped to destroy one another. You know, he is cornered, but he remembers that our God is never cornered. And because he is never cornered, he is able to make a stand and think. Please always look for a time to think. Don't act out of desperation. The alliances of nations have come together. Many nations have come together. There's no way he can handle them. But he still doesn't act out of desperation, because he trusts in God. And God is able to make them fight one another, kill each other, like we have read. The men of Judah spent 3 days collecting the spoils of war. Because of this many, it was a big army. And these people killed each other and abandoned a lot of property. That's God. Never feel totally cornered. Turn to God. And whatever God shows you to do, do it, because he can get you off. There were too many soldiers against the army of Jehoshaphat. But he knew God can do it, and God came through for him. And it was very, very important lesson. But this happened because he kept what we discussed earlier. He avoided bad company. You know, in 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 48, we read, now Jehoshaphat built a fleet of trading ships to go to offer for gold, but they never set sail. They were wrecked at Ezion-Geber. At that time, Ahaziah, son of Ahab, said to Jehoshaphat, let my men sail with yours. But Jehoshaphat refused. You see, once bitten, twice shy. He learned that when you become friends with the enemy of God, that's Ahab. Now this is the son Ahaziah. It is not good to do that. And we need to learn the lesson that you can fail. And that's bad. But it's not as bad as not learning from your failure. After you have just escaped when Ahab dying, how could you go on with a son who is also not a worshiper of God? So he says, no. I do not intend to enter into a JV, a joint venture with you. Let the men not sail with you, as I do not want to go with you. So who is it? You learned a lesson, God showed you, and he saved you out of a problem. Do you learn from it? What are lessons? Do you sit back to check? Do you have regular evaluations, annual evaluations, where you look at, this is what has happened, these are the lessons I've learned, how can I implement them, and have an action plan on how to implement the lessons God is teaching you? And we can see Hezekiah learned his lessons. You know, as we go towards finishing, we learn that a good leader finishes well. In 2 Chronicles, chapter 20, verse 35, we read, later, Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, made an alliance with Ahaziah, king of Israel, whose ways were wicked. He agreed with him to construct a fleet of trading ships, like we read. Because you have made, Eliezer, son of daughter of Marashi, prophesied to Jehoshaphat, because you have made an alliance with Ahaziah, the Lord will destroy what you have made. The ships were wrecked and were not able to set sail to trade. A good leader finishes well. Although Jehoshaphat started his reign by removing the idolatrous high places so that we could worship God, at the end of his reign, there were still high places that had not been taken. Jehoshaphat started well, but his diligence flagged and idol worship returned. It's a pity when you have led most of your life well, then towards the end you do badly. It's a pity that you can be a Christian for 20 years, then towards the end of your life, you are mixing up yourself. You are having dogos, and yet you have had a very good marriage all your life. We learn as a leader, it's not over until it is over. Do not feel the sense of success get you to high level. Somebody said, and I agree with him, pride comes before a fall. The moment you feel you are a success, you no longer feel like you desperately need God. You will start befriending the wrong people, and you end up finishing badly. And it's important that you understand that idea of finishing strong means what helped you in the past to succeed must be the thing you do to the end. But how easily we forget that God was with us, that these advisors were with us, and we start dumping them to do on our own what we never did on our own anyway. I think you need to always check yourself. Pride comes before a fall means the moment you trust yourself and you say, I'm a self-made man, where did you come in? You even fight the friends you used to have before, you start fighting them. My friend, you will finish very badly. God can't send people who have helped you to this level, and now you are insulting them, despising them, and you think you head up well? No. The only person who can dump is a person who has changed and is a bad person. But if they are still helping you, I think it will be dangerous to do that. As we go towards finishing, I think it will be important to just read one more. 2 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 4 and 6. Verse 4 to 6. When Jehoram established himself firmly over his father's kingdom, he put all his brothers to the sword, along with some of the officials of Israel. Jehoram was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned Jerusalem 8 years. He followed the ways of the kings of Israel, as the house of Ahab had done, for he married a daughter of Ahab. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Poor Jehoshaphat. He dies and hands over his kingdom to a guy who wants to be friends with the evil house of Ahab. I keep repeating one lesson we learned from this guy. You cannot be the friend of my enemy and continue being my friend. His son, he doesn't seem to have... Of course, the son saw that towards the end, the father was friendly with the house of Ahab. King Jehoshaphat was unable to pass the faith he had started with to his son Jehoram, who reigned after him. This son of Jehoshaphat, called Jehoram, started by killing all his brothers. What a murder. In other words, he didn't think that God can protect him. So he thinks that if they killed me, my brother can take over. He killed all of them and then made an alliance with Ahab's family by marrying the daughter of Ahab. Now, my friend, it will be very, very important that you learn that you are not going to live forever. And you learn the lessons that brought you to where you are. Share with them your successor. It's called succession planning. Many organizations become big and they are handed over, they fail. Somebody said, and I agree with him, you have not succeeded until your successor succeeds. What that means is you must invest in people below you, not just a few years to dying or a few years to retiring, but you are one of the major important activity of a leader is mentoring others, equipping them, empowering them. And that means he regards himself as dispensable. Even if he died suddenly, that organization will go places. Because there is nothing he was putting up his sleeve. He actually, literally, was a man who shared and mentored people. He would go on leave for 1 or 2 months, and the organization can run without him. He is not afraid. He has created friendship with his subordinates, with his followers, such that he trusts in them. And they also love him. They cannot overthrow him. And he has created structures. That's what Jehoshaphat was not able to do. So he handed over something evil. And this guy who took over, God did not allow him to rule for more than 8 years. In 8 years, he was dead. So I'm asking you, with the organization you are leading, we will continue without you. Number 2, even if it continues, is it going to become greater than your time? You know, your desire should be that the organization will become bigger, more successful than during your time. That's why you're spending all the time investing in the people that are below you. You then need to invest. If your intention is for an organization that will do well, maybe you're a pastor for a church that will do well, maybe you're a businessman for a business that will run beyond you, it is important to invest in the people that are remaining behind. Thank you very much.